Hi, my name is Kayla McGuire, and I'm a project manager who loves talking about everything project management, especially as it relates to the world of startup and innovative small business. Today, I want to talk about asking questions, which is something I brought up in a previous video, and I just wanted to dive deeper into it and talk about how we can ask questions, better questions, as project managers. This is a skill that I think is important, certainly in project management, but it's actually something that I would highly recommend everyone work on becoming better at. It is one of those things that really can define our communication with other people and help us get what we need out of our conversations. So, want to give the disclaimer that I am not an expert on this at all. There are books, blog posts, videos, TED Talks, entire college courses devoted to this subject. I am not an expert. The tips that I'm going to give here are just three things that have kind of helped me when I think about how I want to form my questions in a project management scenario. And they're things that help me personally. So wanted to give that disclaimer. I am not an expert. I'm also not perfect at it. It often occurs where I ask a question and I realize, ooh, I could have done that a little better. Ooh, I should have done this better or that better. That awareness is really great, I think, for us to be able to look back at our conversations and our interactions with people, to look back objectively and say, okay, maybe next time I'll do this, or I see that this wasn't really the best way to do it. I'm going to try to do that differently next time. So that is something that I would highly recommend you do, is really start to pay attention to how your interactions are going, how your conversations are going, whether or not you're getting the kind of information and the quality of information that you want to get out of those conversations. Might be because your questions are not being posed in the best way. So something to think about. All right, I'm going to go through these pretty quickly. Number one is to consider your audience. And the reason that I have this on here is because as a project manager, especially in a startup environment, you are going to be a true cross-functional team member. If ever there was a cross-functional team member, it is a startup project manager. You will be interacting with your client team, your product team or operations team, your people that are building, whether that's software engineers or designers or whatever kind of industry that you're working in, and you're going to be interacting with leadership. So as you are asking questions to these different groups of people, remember that. And it sounds really simple and easy right now, but it's not always when you're in the moment and you're fast paced. So if you are in that leadership update meeting and they bring up, oh, let's add this to the project list, and you have a question about a specific task that will be involved in that project, don't ask it in that meeting, because that meeting is for high level overview type of information. They're not going to want to get into the weeds like that. And on the flip side of that, when you're having conversations with your software engineers, you're not going to want to bring up the big picture items. You're not going to want to bring up details of certain meetings that you were in earlier that week, unless it's completely relevant to what kind of question, what kind of answer you need from them. So just remember that you don't want to overwhelm people with your question or pose questions to people where they're really not your target answer group. All right, number two is to give an appropriate level of context. And this is one that I'm really trying to work on because I tend to be someone who is more blunt and I don't always provide the context that I need to provide to get the answer that I want or need. So think about what kind of answer you want or need, and figure out what kind of background information you need to give to that person to get the type of answer that you're looking for. Again, there's that consider your audience element in this one, but just be sure you are giving enough context depending on who your audience is, but not too much. We don't want to just talk to talk. And if it's someone who's kind of been with you in the project the whole time, you don't really need to give them the level of context that you would to someone else. So remember that, talk enough, but not too much. And the third one is ask well-formed questions. This one is a little more ambiguous. And I'm not going to say there's no bad questions, but what I will say is there's a huge difference between a well-formed question and one that is not well-formed. We want to think about, again, what kind of information that we want to get from this question. What are we looking for? Think about that first before you open your mouth and ask a question, and try to form your question in such a way that you will receive the information that you need. This will help you greatly as a project manager, as you're going to find that communication is a really big part of project management. You're going to be talking to people all day, and you really want to use that time wisely, both for yourself and for the people that you're working with. So learning to form these questions in such a way where you're going to be more efficient and really get the information you need to keep going, it's a huge skill. It is one that will benefit you greatly. So an example of a well-formed question, I'll give you an example of maybe you're in stand-up or in a meeting with an engineer and they tell you that they are blocked on something. You might ask, when will you get it done? That's not really a well-formed question because it's not giving you what you want. It's not giving you what you need. And a better way of asking that question might be, what is blocking you from completing this task, and how can we remove that blocker today, or whatever the time frame is, and how will that affect the timeline? That's going to give you a lot of information and help you as you go throughout your day to either help that person remove the blocker or help communicate where that person is at in the project to other people. And it's going to make it easier for you as you go out throughout your day. You're not going to get halfway through the day and say, oh man, I should have asked this other piece of the question to the engineer, but now they're away at lunch, so I can't get an answer. And then you kind of do this back and forth type of a thing. So it's really going to help you become a more efficient project manager. Those are my 3 things that I really look at when I'm asking questions in a project management scenario. I would love to know what kind of questions that you ask and what has helped you in this area as a project manager. Thanks for joining me. Bye.